Now to politics with our Point-Counterpoint segment. The special session set to begin here in Texas in just 2 days, and lawmakers have some big goals that didn't happen during the regular session, and they have just 30 days to complete them. Joining us this morning to break it all down, Ed Espinoza with Progress Texas and Matt Mackowiak with the Potomac Strategy Group, and Matt, also the newly elected chair of the Republican Party here in Travis County. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Good to be here. Appreciate it.
Well, jumping right in, the regular legislative session was one of the most contentious we've seen in recent history, even with a fight breaking out on the House floor. What can we expect from this special session? Ed, let's begin with you.
Yeah, so I think you can expect another legislative session that is going to be very interesting. Texas politics is never dull. And what you're going to see here, the governor has added some 19 or 20 items to the agenda. There's no way they're going to have time to get to all of those items. You'll probably even have a few surprises after the legislature convenes. Now, the first thing they have to do is authorize a state agency that didn't get authorized during the regular session, which is the whole reason they got here in the first place. But then you'll see a lot of talk about bathroom legislation and some other things, really things that may or may not affect many Texans on their daily basis. You'll see Democrats talk about real solutions for all Texans, including school finance reform and other issues that people genuinely care about. And I think that's going to be the highlights of this session this summer. But like I said, never a dull moment in Texas politics.
That's certainly true. Matt, what's your response to that?
Yeah, so they'll start with the sunset bill because that's what the governor's requiring. This is the Texas Medical Board. After that, you've got 19 items on there. The Texas Senate, I think, passed 10 of them in the regular session, and they're talking about passing all these items in the first 10 days. So the action's really going to be in the House. Is the House going to move some of these agenda items? I think two to watch are property tax reform and annexation reform. There's broad support ideologically and geographically across the state on both issues. Property taxes, people are mad about that in lots of different media markets across the state. How quickly those property tax rates are rising. There seems to be no ability to control those increases. And then annexation, the idea that wherever you live, you should be able to vote before another city annexes you and you take on their taxes, their regulations, their debt. So those two issues, I think, have broad support, and I think there's a chance to pass those two, and there's, I think, a great opportunity to do even more.
Okay, speaking of those two and the special call that you mentioned, Ed, as well, Governor putting up 20 items on the special session call. With the session only lasting these 30 days, you mentioned it. Is it too ambitious? Matt?
Well, I would agree that I think it's probably unlikely that all 20 will pass. You know, but the fact that the Senate is in a position to move so quickly on all of them does show that you can get a lot done in 30 days if you're focused. And I do know that the governor has been working very hard to make this special section as successful as possible. He's been identifying bill champions in the House and Senate, meeting with legislators, really putting his shoulder to the wheel to give these things as much momentum as possible. And in fact, in some of these items, he's brought Democrats on board to co-sponsor these bills as well. So I think his perspective is he wants the legislators to get a lot done in 30 days. If they don't do that, I think he's prepared to call them back, and they do not want to come back a second time.
Why didn't they get this done during the regular session then? If they feel like they can be so successful with much of these issues, why didn't they get this done before? Yeah,
it's a good question, actually, and there's a real tug of war going on at the legislature right now, and questions that have led people to wonder who's really in charge over there. Is it the governor, is it the lieutenant governor, or is it the Speaker of the House? There were some things that the Senate wanted to push through, such as that bathroom bill, such as the state taking over local control from a lot of local cities that the House just wasn't on board with. Now, there might be some work that has been done between the regular session and the special session, but you can expect a lot of opposition to many of these things in the special session, and I think you're going to see some of that come through. So I think the reason you didn't see it go through in the first session is because they spent so much time on things like fighting over immigration, fighting over bathrooms, that they couldn't get to issues like schools and the budget and other issues like local control. So it's a real tug of war. It keeps coming back to that question, who is in charge over there? And I think that that's something the governor is trying to assert right now, and he can expect some opposition, not only from Democrats, but from Republicans as well.
So one of the more highly anticipated topics, the bathroom legislation. Matt, do you think this is something that's going to be a large portion of this issue with this special session, or do you think this is something that's going to be passed through quickly?
I don't think it'll pass quickly. I think it'll pass quickly in the Senate, the same bill they passed before, effectively, which Lois Kolkhorst was the author of from Brenham. But we'll see. I mean, I think that in the House, you had 80 co-sponsors on one bill in the House for a Privacy Act. So if that bill does have the majority of the House, I think the House will probably take up the same bill they passed last time. That bill probably cannot pass the Senate. We'll see if they can get to a conference committee to get one bill to the governor's desk.
Okay, so this will be interesting to see what happens with that one. And I want to end with some issues that you guys think are the most important coming up here. Ed, we'll begin with you. What do you think that lawmakers need to be focusing on? And if they can only pass a few, what do you think that needs to be?
Well, obviously, school finance, I think, is a huge one that was brought to the table in the regular session that didn't actually get anywhere through the Senate. The other issue that has not gotten a ton of attention is maternal mortality. The rate of maternal mortality in Texas has skyrocketed over the past 3 to 4 years. And we don't have the data or figures to know why. And this has happened over the last 3 to 4 years. So that is something that needs to be addressed. And if we really want to take care of Texans, that's something that needs to be looked at. And hopefully the legislature will address it in this special session.
All right, Matt.
Yeah, I would say, two things to watch in addition to property tax reform and annexation reform. The state does not need to be collecting union dues on behalf of public sector employees. It makes absolutely no sense. More than half the states in the country don't do it. There's no reason for us to collect the dues of a membership organization that's private. They can do that themselves. But second is school choice for special ed kids. That's a bill that I think would be very well received by special needs parents. Would be effectively a pilot program, would allow those parents to collect money to use on private schools or other school options. So I'd like to see both of those things move as well.
All right. Well, these are all issues that we'll be watching, and we'll be checking in with you guys again for your expertise throughout the special session. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Thanks.